Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Daniel Carcillo, who is the founder and CEO of Wesana Health. Daniel, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, you're welcome. I'm looking forward to talking with you, learning from you. And I always like to start off with, when I hear a unique name, what's the story behind the name of Wesana? What is that name? It's kind of like before Amazon was Amazon, whoever heard of the company or the name Amazon other than a big river. So what's the story behind the actual name of Wesana?
Yeah, so in 2015, I retired from the NHL after 7 diagnosed concussions and went through the medical system for the last 8 years to recover my brain health and quality of life. Along that way, I found some alternative treatments that really accelerated my healing process, and I've always been an advocate for traumatic brain injury and mental health. So, I tend to see that communities like the mental health community, especially the concussion community, we trade off different clinical treatments, therapies, pharmaceuticals, holistic measures to get better. So sana is heal in Latin, and Wesana is we heal together. So awesome. That's where the name was born out of.
Neat. That is, I love the stories behind like that because it's like hey, let's learn from each other. Let's do this together. If we can heal together and then band together and learn from each other, and then you are on the front runner of this mission of being able to, tap the shoulders of some of the key influencers. And I know we'll want to talk more about, some of your findings and things you're bringing to the Wesana community. But talk a little bit about your 7 diagnosed concussions. The fact that you say diagnosed makes me wonder, was there 8 or 9 or 10? They just weren't diagnosed, and 7 are on the books?
Yeah, 7 are on the books, and there were definitely hundreds that were probably missed. In concussion, what we find is you don't need a concussion. There's a common misnomer that you need to be knocked out to get a concussion, which is untrue, and you don't even need a diagnosed concussion to affect the brain and the pathology. And so the subconcussive hits over a longer period of time will do damage as well. So I played, hockey since I was 4 years old. There's no out of bounds. We're always hitting. My job was in the enforcer role. I fought 164 times professionally and numerous times unprofessionally. And obviously all of that damage accumulated to me not being able to do my job at the age of 30 and really not being able to live a happy and fulfilling life. Once, I left the sport, I realized just how bad I was, just how sick I was, because hockey and being a professional athlete is not the real world. So, it's a fast world. And once you slow down and you get into society, you start to feel just how off you are. And that was indicative of my journey. And I think a lot of other pro athletes that do retire. So yeah, there was a lot of misdiagnoses. There was little to no treatment. So we're trying to course correct that. And I'm trying to, for the last 8 years, I've been trying to use my platform to basically advocate for, number one, recognizing these signs and symptoms, because education and awareness is key in understanding that you're sick. And then what can we do for that?
So when you're describing that, it made me think of this question, and maybe other people have asked it or thought of it, but you had these injuries and you retire from the sport and you go, I need help, so I'm going to go get help. And maybe you cannot check the box, I am free from all the effects, because maybe that'll never, ever happen. But you have now found some relief and some help. At what point did you think, cool, I am going to now go get into construction or be a writer but no, you thought, I'm going to take this, bottle it up, quote unquote, and help other people. I'm going to start a company to help other people. At some point, maybe you could have thought, man, I just need help for myself and I'm good to go. At what point did you think I'm going to take this to the next level and help other people too?
So really it was the first 5 years of going through, and luckily, like, I had means, but that's not indicative of the population. And so regardless, I was trying everything under the sun. So I was visiting the best neurologists, speaking to the best, psychiatrists, and tried the pharmaceutical route. Then I went down the functional neurology route, and then I visited, while I was doing the treatments, was visiting some of the best brain banks in the world, learning about neurodegenerative disease, because obviously I'm at risk for that with CTE that you see a lot of athletes suffering from early into their, call it 40s, 50s. And that was indicative of my journey. I was suffering from mild depression at 33, 34. When I basically exhausted all of the medically accepted treatments that the doctors were telling me to do, I turned to an alternative treatment. And I say alternative, but this medicine's been around longer than any of these medically accepted treatments in psilocybin. So it's the active ingredient in magic mushrooms. And the reason that I took this invitation was because I was starting to see science come out with people under fMRI and seeing how the brain was communicating. And essentially, with concussion, you have an area of your brain. There's 6 different areas that shut down. That's not communicating with the rest of the areas in your brain. And it can cause a lot of problems in symptomology. And you have to wake that area up. You have to identify it and wake it up. And so, when I saw the science on psilocybin with what it does for neuronal crosstalk, it wakes up right and left brain hemispheres, and it exasperates, resting blood flow. And so it essentially activates more parts of the brain. And when I came out of the high dose ceremony, my symptomology, my brain fog and fatigue were pretty much lifted the next day. And then by the second, third day, my light sensitivity was getting better and then disappeared. So I didn't need my blockers when I went outside for the sun. And then my slurred speech wasn't there, and my anxiety was lessened. My depression, I didn't want to isolate. I felt more connected to myself and others. So I was pretty amazed at how this could affect my healing so rapidly. And I did more research. And just from what I know, I understand that nothing gets fixed in 5 hours. So with a PhD biochemist, I made a regimen of a microdose. So a subperceptual, non-hallucinogenic dose that can be taken every day. I coupled that with CBD, which is a patented neuroprotectant. And then I just tracked my milligram amounts and the protocol, and I retested my brain and blood after 6 months of doing this, and it came back with no abnormalities. Wow. So I was pretty astonished. 5.5 years in, Achieve Recovery started to talk about this, and then realized talking about it will only help a certain amount of people. I have to do something about it. And so I founded a company, started to create my championship team for people around me that know drug development, know how to raise capital and input business infrastructure. And then, we've recently communicated with the FDA in a pre-IND meeting. So I just had an aha moment, like, there's no FDA-approved pharmaceutical for any traumatic brain injury-related symptom. There's no abuse liability, little to no symptoms tied to a microdose of psilocybin and CBD. And I know in my heart that this can help millions of people. So, Wesana is singularly focused now on advancing this program to help millions. You can essentially go to the doctor, you have a diagnosis, you go to Walgreens, you get a prescription, you go home, and you start taking this medication, you start feeling better pretty immediately.
And from your description there, did I understand correctly that when you had that follow-up scan and it showed no evidence of damage, so not only is your protocol helping you, current, I'm not feeling the effects of, but, you think, well, but I can see in my brain scan that there were some issues, you could always see like there's some artifacts in there. You're saying that it's helping fix the past, and then also moving forward, make sure that that's not impacting you today and moving forward as well.
Yeah. So what you can do, through the FDA, is use what's called these primary endpoints, and those are usually just scales. to basically detect, like, yes, okay, you're taking this medication. You had depression. Now you don't have it after you've taken the medication. What I want to get to, you can use secondary endpoints, they're called, in these clinical trials, where we can use QEEG. We can use blood biomarkers that are commonly accepted, because what I want to prove eventually, and this is something that I know I'll be able to do, it may just take some years to validate, but I've cured myself. So I do not suffer from any of those symptoms, and I haven't for over 2 years. So I know that my brain pathology is cured, and I want to be able to prove that. And then, not a lot of people in medicine talk about the inflammatory effects that cause these symptoms. So there's a lot of evidence, and again, it's a patented neuroprotectant and antioxidant in CBD. If we can manage neuroinflammation and inflammation in the body in general, then we can manage, and eventually rid ourselves of these symptoms that I believe are attached to that inflammation.
Yeah, that's way more than just take this pill and good luck to you. There's a lot of research behind that. Now, do you have any support? And I'm being facetious in saying this, but it's not just like hook me up with some pills and let's hope for the best. You have support, and do you have some coaching or guidance or, things like that your clients will be not only on the protocol, but also getting some support that way as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So, behind the scenes, there's a digital therapy that we're working on in just supporting people through that journey. Supporting people with protocols, and then also through telemedicine, you can connect with a mental health provider that can help you talk through what you're feeling, what you're going through, etc. And in our clinics that we're operating in Illinois right now, we have things like neurofeedback and these other exercises that you can perform, and then also, they're psychiatrist led with a lot of mental health therapists, because we are serving ketamine. So you most definitely, with these types of medicines, want to offer people that support. It's done in an intentional way, and talk therapy, we know, even without medication, works. Yeah. So adding something like this in will only enhance somebody's healing.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, I think that at that point, I think the word holistic gets thrown around a lot, but, I think people feel supported. They feel heard. They feel validated. They feel like, wow, here's some protocols that can help me, and also some support and community and, people to talk to go, hey, am I thinking the right way, feeling the right way, using it the right way, and what if? So I think that's another big piece that you're moving toward there and providing your clients, really.
Yeah, for sure. I think education, awareness, like when people understand what they're taking, and you can influence that nocebo placebo effect as far as they feel good, like that they understand what this is going to do in their brain and for their quality of life. That's where you see the best efficacy.
Yeah. So now I'm putting my Shark Tank hat on, and I'm going, hey, so now what's your distribution, and do you have retail locations? So are you guys looking forward to taking it from virtual to also going with some retail type locations so that people can get this kind of support in person?
Yeah, so we actually have 2 facilities, mental health clinics in Chicago, one that overlooks Millennium Park, and then one in Oak Brook, Illinois, in the suburbs. We're opening up our 3rd location next, call it mid-May, slotted for next week, which is 3,000 square feet, which will have, psychiatrist oversight with insurance remunerated services like ketamine, Spravato, medicine, TMS, and then DBT talk therapy. So, but even in those facilities, it's a heavy emphasis on telemedicine, because we do have 1,400 patients in our practice, and the best way to impact them on a daily basis is through this telemedicine tool. So we're using a little bit of a hybrid approach. But now that being said, we will be making an announcement here soon that we've done a strategic review of the business, and after we've gotten this feedback from the FDA in our pre-IND meeting about our drug, we had to make a decision as to separating the healthcare aspect of this business and the clinics to then just focusing solely on the drug development. But we're going to use the same brand, the same people. And yeah, we're really excited about what we've been able to build on the clinic side and putting boots on the ground that are helping people today.
Love it. Well, if someone is hearing this going, I need to learn more, what's the best way they can reach out and learn more and connect with you guys?
So it'll be wesanahealth.com, wesanaclinics.com are the clinics. And then, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Wesana is as well, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm at Daniel Carcillo 13 on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and talking about it and just supporting the mission, especially during May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Daniel. It was a real pleasure talking with you, and I really appreciate and applaud the vision and what you're doing in the community.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, appreciate you having me on.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.